Cristin Milioti plays Sarah in the Hulu film Palm Springs. I'm at Noble of Gold Derby, here to ask you, Cristin, if you had to relive a day on repeat from the shoot of Palm Springs, what day would it be?
That's a great question. I think the campfire scene. Maybe.
Yeah.
It'd be a toss-up. It'd be a toss-up between the campfire scene and the part of the montage at the wedding when Andy has the crossbow and I'm the villain with the hook for a hand. I would say that there would be a toss-up between those two.
Okay, let's start with the fireplace scene. What was so special about that day shoot?
I think that was just so special because that was toward the end of our shoot, and that was one of my favorite scenes in the film when I read it. I loved that scene so much, and I thought it was so beautifully written. And then by the time we shot it, I felt like Andy and I were really in sync, and we really sort of felt like these two characters took over, and also they shot it from very far away, so we felt like we were truly alone in the desert around a campfire. And it was very it's just like one of those acting experiences you have where like something bigger takes over, which is always lovely and like the reason we all do it.
Like, from what I understand, that was a much like longer scene in the script than it was in the final cut of the film.
Yeah, it was much longer. There was other stuff in there about like we talked about like our theories of being alive and of like what life means, and it was probably, I mean, that scene, I love that scene too because it like really takes its time. You can really breathe with it. But yeah, I think it was like double the length, which I get why they, but it still holds, even being edited down, it still holds the same energy and like just the same things that I loved about it when I first read it.
Yeah. What about the other scene? What about that other day, that other shoot?
Well, that was just like a ball. I mean, that's like the most, I have a very distinct memory of being on that set with the eye patch and a hook for a hand, doing that accent of like the evil supervillain and being like, this is what I imagined doing as a kid. Like it felt like I was a little kid again, like playing in my basement or something. And it was so much, and because also in that scene we're performing for a crowd. So we also like, and they didn't know what we were going to do, and Andy didn't know what I was going to do. So it felt like really like when you're like a little kid playing. It was awesome.
Yeah, it has seemed like that. Do you and Andy sort of like feed each other in a sense?
Yeah. Well, in that scene, so he didn't know that I was going to have the hook and the eye patch and the accent because I wanted to like throw him off. And we didn't have many takes when we did this film because we were moving so fast. We shot this film in 21 days and it was a real like breakneck pace. You know, we would probably have 2 takes a scene, like 2 takes, you know, per coverage. And that is it's terrifying and like so fast. And so I knew that I was only going to have like 2 shots and that they were going to be, you know, someone was going to be on me and someone was going to be on him. And so I wanted to like really shock him and do what what those characters would do in the world, that, you know, she would really only have like a CVS in Palm Springs or something at her access because she only has the 24 hours. So I asked props to go get like the jankiest like CVS Hollywood costume pieces that like Sarah could have gone and gotten. And then I came up with that accent and yeah. And so we are genuinely like, all of that is like, we've never rehearsed it. It's all genuine.
Did Andy surprise you with anything in that scene?
Yeah, when I came out and did that, I think the reaction is still in there. It's been a second since, but he's sort of is surprised. And then he says something about accent, my accent from parts unknown or something, like an indeterminate, because he couldn't figure out like where I was from. But it was awesome. That was so much fun.
You talked about the shoot and how like hectic it was. Like, from what I understand, the first day before lunch that you did all the wake up scenes, is that correct?
Yeah.
What was
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What was the headspace like for that, having to pretty much live the whole journey of your character in like, a morning?
Yeah. I mean, it was intense. I remember like seeing that on the schedule but I mean, now that I'm talking about it, maybe in a way it was a blessing because I took really, really detailed notes because we went so fast. I mean, I do that anyway, but with this, because there was so much like repeating, but with like a variant each time. I just always had this like Bible with me with like, just notes scribbled everywhere about like what exactly, like to help me calibrate where she is and what she knows and what the audience knows and like all the stuff. So I just had it next to the bed and we would do it. We did it again and again and again and again. And then for, each wake up, I had, 5 or 6 different like ideas about, because you also don't know, we haven't filmed any of the other things that she wakes up. Like I remember thinking about the scene where I fall off the back of the car and wake up. Like we hadn't shot that yet. That was weeks away, or 2 weeks away or whatever. And so we really had to be like, all right, I think it's gonna be like this. I think it's gonna cut like this. It was intimidating, but in a way, I guess it was actually a great way to start because it sort of was like you're off to the races, and also it was sort of like a mini review of what we were about to do.
Yeah, like when you filmed a future scene, you could remember how did I wake up that morning?
Exactly. Right. I'm like,
Yeah.
right. And 2 weeks ago, I like shot out of bed, I think. Yeah.
What was the most important note that you think you wrote?
I don't know. I do think this might be a sort of answer to that, but I think the most like the things I took them that I really tried to calibrate. Obviously, there are many twists and turns in this film, and one of the things I love about it is that like the beginning is a giant misdirect, but I wanted to make sure that you could track Sarah. That if you went back and watched it, knowing what you know, that you could still see through the misdirect and see like and exactly what had happened and what to her without like giving it away. I don't know if do you know what I mean? Like I really
Yeah.
tried to. A lot of my notes were about that.
Yeah. And what do you think the most? Yeah. Oh no, go.
Oh, sorry. And like threading that needle or towing that line or whatever.
Yeah. And what do you think the most important thing was about Sarah as you approached that performance?
I thought the most important thing was that because you're dealing with such a sort of fantastical thing, you're dealing with a time loop, you're dealing with like, there's a zany montage, like you're dealing with this thing that none of us have experienced, that it was of paramount importance to me that I grounded her in what she's going through, which is like an enormous amount of pain and shame and anger. And that if that wasn't felt and if that wasn't honored, you weren't going to care and you weren't going to understand why she does everything. And the more, another thing I love about Andy Ciara's script is that it's like breadcrumbs along a path. Like the more you get to know her, the more you understand why she is the way she is and why she reacts the way she reacts. And if I didn't honor the sort of the dark and painful parts of her, that none the rest of it wouldn't have come together. Like you wouldn't be invested. So that was like the thing I focused on the most. That was like the most important thing to me, was that you understood that this was like a woman who is suffering. And which also like, sometimes I like worked with a director once who told me that he always thought that comedy was watching someone navigate pain, which is actually true. Like I think that now when I see comedies like, even something as delightful as The Office, right? Like a lot of times you're watching Michael Scott navigate like shame and humiliation, but there's actually comedy in it because we all have these feelings and we all do things to like handle them. Anyway, that's it. That was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of insecurity to Michael Scott. Like, that's
Yes.
why he wants to be loved. He wants to be like attention. Yeah.
But like if, not that this has to be like a Steve Carell masterclass
No,
discussion,
no.
but like if he hadn't grounded it if you didn't believe that like Michael Scott was actually like an open wound of like need and vulnerability, it wouldn't be as moving and funny as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, also, he's just like brilliant. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, and it's the same, to bring it back to Palm Springs, the wedding, the bomb wedding cake scene where you're all dressed up is Sarah and Niles trying to find levity in a very repetitive,
Exactly.
like trap situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like that was one of my favorite things when I read it, and then also getting to build it together, was that like the movie kind of there's like a full spectrum of stuff going on, much like life. There's like these incredibly low moments, these incredibly high moments. There's like immense anger, immense joy, that people are lost. Like it's such an existential film while also being very funny. I think it's very sneaky.
Yeah, like how do you find joy in a sort of seemingly purposeless existence? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you learn something about yourself through making the film?
Yeah, I always do. When I work on something and get to like inhabit someone else, I inevitably always, or something about myself, I guess, is reflected back to me that I didn't think of or something. But I think for this one, I learned, um, what's coming to mind is that we shot so fast, and I'm someone who like loves a ton of preparation. Like I'm very like, I really prep for a long time, and I love rehearsal, and I want to do like 70 takes because I want to like find 70 different ways in. And there was something about only having 2 tries that really made me, I think at first I got in my own way a bit, and then I sort of was able to like let go and be like, you just have to trust that you've done your job, you've done your work, and like you know who this person is. And there was something very terrifying about that, but also very freeing about that as well.
Mm. Yeah. Did you relate to the character of Sarah at all?
Oh,
Like how is she most like you?
I would say that it's not so much that she's most like me. I mean, I don't know. Or like in which way she's most like me. I feel like like the main thing she's struggling with in this film is like she's desperate to escape herself. And I think that that's such a universal thing. And like we've all felt that at certain points in our life and in different ways. I know I've certainly felt that um, at times. And I don't know, that was like sort of my way in, like when you're going through a hard time and you think about how much easier it would be if you could run away from everything. Like, I mean, that's why everyone has that. That's like such a condition in this world. That's why we have like drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and like Netflix shows to like binge. You want to run away from yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very much so.
So that was my way in.
Yeah. Is there a moment in the film that, like, when you rewatch it, just makes you sort of laugh each time that you think is particularly funny?
I've only seen it twice.
Okay.
Is that? Yeah.
The
Oh
first would have
no, you
been,
know what? I've seen
yeah,
it. What'd
3.
you say?
I was going to say the first would have been, it was the first at Sundance.
Yes. And that was like such a beautiful experience to watch that film in a giant theater full of people. And then the second time I went to a drive-through with a bunch of friends to see it.
Nice.
And then the third time, Andy and I had to do commentary for it, so I watched it again. But it's very hard for me to watch myself. Like I sort of watch like this. And honestly, the parts that make me make me laugh the hardest are with Connor O'Malley, who plays he plays one of the groomsmen, who he's the one who like freaks out during the earthquake. And there's another part in the house where he's like, I don't feel safe with him here. And he's the guy that like I lead into the bathroom. He makes me laugh so hard. I could barely get through takes with him. Yeah. he's remarkable. But those are the first still, because I just remember how funny it was, and also it is so funny, and that makes me laugh the hardest.
Yeah. Left field question here, Cristin. What is Rupert's favorite restaurant in Palmdale?
Oh my God. His favorite restaurant. Where is he? There he is.
Yeah.
His favorite restaurant in Palmdale. Oh my God. His favorite restaurant was probably Craft Services, honestly. He always because he's on set with me a lot, and he always, but like that and the hair and makeup trailer. He loves a hair and makeup trailer because like everyone sneaks him food, and he's a real like crew dog.
Oh,
and he always knows exactly where catering is.
Yeah. Max asked me to ask you that question.
He did.
Yeah,
That's
the director.
so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we were in Palmdale, I mean, I feel like all I did, because we would also shoot nights, so there wasn't much open. I remember ordering a lot of Chipotle because that was like the only thing that was open.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
And I had no context. I had no idea what that question would mean. Or where that would lead us. Was the cake scene the funniest scene for you to shoot, or was there another scene that?
Oh no, there were a ton of them that were really funny to shoot. That one was so funny. The dance sequence, obviously. I mean, the plane, when we steal the plane, like there was so much in that montage that was so funny. And then honestly, like so much at the wedding was very funny, especially like the bits. Basically everything you see in the montage was like so much fun to shoot, and we laughed the entire time.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. What do you look back on about the experience of making the film that you miss the most?
People.
Yeah.
I mean, like I miss, that was such a labor of love for everyone on that film, and you could really feel that, like, no one got paid anything. We shot it so fast. That shoot was brutal. Everyone was there because they believed in it. Our crew was amazing. Our cast was amazing. And it felt like, we were always like running to the next shot. And everyone was like helping each other out and running to get this thing, or like, let's grab this before the light. Like it felt so collaborative with this group of people in the middle of the desert. And, that's what I miss the most, especially now.
Yeah. What do you think Palm Springs is about, if you were to crystallize the film?
Wow. I think it's about coming to terms with yourself, and like the sort of adage of that, if you can't love yourself, to quote RuPaul, like, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love someone else? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Cristin, it's been lovely talking about Palm Springs with you. All the best of luck with upcoming award nominations, and the Golden Globes are down the pipeline. All the awards are later this year, but Golden Globes are coming up, Screen Actors Guild, Oscars, all that sort of stuff for you and the film. And all the best. And people watching this interview can go to goldderby.com, where you can make award predictions, watch other interviews like this one, and join the discussion on Hollywood film and television in our forums.
Thank you so much.